Hello everybody. So today I wanted to do a video all about curing cancer and how in the future we may go about curing cancer using advances in different forms of technology because I have cancer. Um, if you look at my arm, it probably doesn't show up very well on camera, but there's one, that's a mole on my arm, that is skin cancer. It happens to be obviously a benign form of skin cancer. I don't have any kind of malignant tumours growing in my body so far as I'm aware. And it's likely that 1 in 2 of us in our lifetimes will get cancer at some point. I've known many people who've had cancer, and yeah, it is a really rather terrifying disease to have to face in one's life, and it's very unfortunate that people suffer from cancer. However, I've been looking into all sorts of things so far as it relates to cancer treatment, and this horrible business of chemotherapy, which seems to be sort of the best route forward, seemingly at the moment. Then we have other forms of ways of treating cancer, radiotherapy, and obviously surgery is another way of treating cancer. But in the future, we may be able to utilize all sorts of different emerging technologies to be able to treat cancer. Nanotechnology is one avenue in particular that seems especially promising so far as cancer treatment is concerned. And I'm a science fiction writer also. In the first novel that I wrote, which was set partially in a period about 150 years in the future, certain characters in that novel, they are subject to nanosurgery at various different points in the book. And I was exploring this idea that in the future, using nanotechnology applied to new emerging surgical techniques, we may be able to, for instance, remove cancer at the cellular level, so that we could take individual cancer cells using nanotech and sort of take them away from the tumor bit by bit, or using incredible precision and accuracy at the nanoscale, begin slicing up tumors and gradually removing them from different parts of the body. And by then, of course, we could use nanotech also for drastically improving our capabilities at detecting cancer early on. And so that we could identify tumours that are likely to metastasize and become malignant, and very likely even spread to different areas of the body, and remove them before they become deadly or likely to cause a fatality due to cancer. So this obviously nanotech really relates to, it is part of physics. Nanotech, all the advances in nanotechnology are going on in physics, and to a lesser extent in chemistry, I think, or physical chemistry to be more precise. And yeah, it's a shame, I think, in terms of science funding, or the funding that's going into physics. Huge amounts of money are being funneled into fusion research. And on a superficial level, I do understand the appeal of doing that, and it's being heralded as if we were to just get this, we would have infinite free energy, but I mean, the more and more I think about the energy crisis and the economics of it, and the geopolitics of it, and the geography even of it, and the geology of it even possibly, yeah, and not to mention the engineering solutions that could come to the fore to solve the energy crisis. I don't think fusion is the answer. I think fusion is a money pit and a bit of a waste of time, frankly. And I don't think we're going to see any meaningful advances in fusion technology, even if ITER in France is switched on and it produces supposedly 10 times more energy than is put into the thing. I've seen this Sabine Hossenfelder video where she breaks down very exactly how the sort of statistics that end up in popular science reporting dramatically skew the realities of the inputs that go into it. And then there's this whole issue of even if it did produce 10 times more energy than goes into it in a reaction, how much energy slash resources slash infrastructural energy cost slash time is put into constructing a new reactor on that scale that is capable of producing this minute and incredibly short reaction that produces this output of energy. Because I bet when it produces 10 times more energy, they're not factoring into the equation the fact that they need to, after a relatively short amount of time, build an entire new reactor. And all the energy that goes into that, from mining the steel and everything else that goes into building one of these things. And it used to take 20 years to build or something. It requires precision engineering and incredibly highly trained people working on it round the clock. And I think it's a waste of time. I think it's silly, and that far more funding really needs to be funneled into nanotech and medical physics and soft matter physics, biological physics, and these sorts of things, and working on projects like nanotechnology, because I would love to see nanosurgery. And if anyone's sort of seen my Facebook page, my Facebook profile, they'll know that my cover image, and it might be unsettling to a lot of people, is an image of this Kamar's Ashkan of King's College London. He's a professor of neurosurgery there at King's College London Hospital, performing neurosurgery on a lady while she's playing the violin. And that sort of stuff does sort of ignite something rather passionate in my soul. And I thought that was an extraordinary thing to have seen. And it came out in 2020, in January, I believe, right before COVID. Have this, and I think it's the 20s now. Oh, great, we're going to be doing this sort of thing. This is fantastic. We've got the James Webb Space Telescope going up after this as well, which will very likely, I think, find life in the galaxy, or life outside the solar system. I think that's very, very likely. And but fusion, they've been hammering away at fusion now for, it must be 70 years. No, since the 1950s, is it? It's been 50 years away. Yeah, and the big joke is fusion is 50 years away and always will be. Stop with your funding these tens of billions of pounds and dollars and euros into fusion. Was it Gordon Brown, of all people, who said, if everyone had a little wind turbine on their roof, we'd have more energy than we knew what to do with, than we know what to do with. Everyone, at this point, loads and loads of people got solar panels on their roofs. Where are the windmills? The turbines? What can you make a turbine out of? Fucking anything. What, kind of made out of plastic? Then again, oh Jesus, maybe the sorts of plastics that we currently manufacture with crude oil derivatives to create these polymers, like standard plastic, right, made from oil. Oh my god, would it turn out that hemp plastic, if hemp or cannabis, let's face it, because we would need both cannabis, either female plant and the male plant, to commercially grow hemp on the scales that we need to mass produce plastic. Because we obviously need the female plants to produce seeds, do we not? Because male cannabis plants don't produce any seeds. Because they are male. But, well, the males pollinate the females. The male produces pollen, which is like sperm. Seed was that an egg, basically, obviously, and fertilizes the inseminates the female cannabis plant, to be more precise, when she is fertile, and she flowers, produces buds and seeds, as any good honest pothead would know. But I mean, no, no more fucking fusion, please, dear God. I think, yeah, the answers are probably wind and solar, to a lesser extent hydroelectric, to geothermal always sounded like a good option to me. But that's probably just for hot water, isn't it? Let's face it. I don't think we could like meaningfully mine into the crust, sorry, the mantle, pipe water into it and get steam up. Maybe. In the distant future, using very heat resistant materials, maybe that could be an interesting avenue to look at. But yeah, so I think the cure for cancer is very likely to come down to drastically improving surgical techniques. And I don't know a huge amount about nanotechnology, so I know I have like a cursory amount of knowledge in nanotech, but I'm by no means an expert in it at all. But I think, the likes of Phil Moriarty at Nottingham, with his like cool little lab like down in the basement, is it, in the Nottingham Physics Building. He's just got his, sort of big, swanky, expensive microscope that's going to allow him to like manipulate atoms and put them into all sorts of cool patterns and whatnot. Like, it's like, yeah, he's like the true sort of like, mad scientist type, tinkering around with his big machines down in the basement. Like, no disrespect to theorists and other physicists, but that is very cool what he does. And yeah, funnel more money into nanotech, medical physics, soft matter physics, and biological physics, and all the rest of it. And stop with this fusion rubbish. I think, because it's gold at the end of the rainbow. You can't get to the end of the rainbow because it's an optical illusion. You're just chasing your tails, more or less, with fusion, I think. So, yeah, it's and maybe this is like a silver lining to Brexit even, because the European Scientific Research Council, who, as I understand it, probably have sort of the biggest sway over EU science funding. They're like, was it 50 billion or whatever it is, like ITER. Like, imagine what could be done with that sort of cash in nanotech. Fuck, that'd be cool to see, would it not? Like, incredibly sophisticated and precise surgery to cure cancer. That will be the cure to cancer. I'm fairly certain of it. But there we go. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye bye bye. I think I made my point. Nice talking to you as always. Bye bye bye. Love you lots.